Brought to you exclusively by Abu Garcia.
What's up, everybody? How you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, wherever you're at, wherever you're listening. Want to welcome you to a brand new Ike Live Show 2.0. We got a good one for you today. Joining us in just a minute, Justin Hamner, current Bassmaster Classic champion, and also current Bassmaster AOY points leader, joining us in just a bit. First, before I even get into this stuff, thank you guys for the comments. Been so many good comments lately about this new 2.0 format. Appreciate all the comments. Appreciate the guest suggestions. Keep them coming. I read through every one. I really, really do. Also, thank you to everyone who watched the reunion show. I think it was about a week ago, right after ICAST. We had a lot of fun. We had the old crew back together in the old studio. It was fun catching up with Pete and Dave and Brian the Carpenter and all those guys. So thank you for tuning into that one as well. As always, this show is brought to you by Abu Garcia. Head over to abugarcia.com and check out their great products. By the way, just got back from the Classic, and we launched the Ike Series 3.0 rods and reels at ICAST, and they are going to be available in just a couple months here. I think September. So head over there. You can pre-order them at Tackle Warehouse right now, by the way. Also brought to you by the Ike Foundation. If you want to help get more kids fishing, head over to the ikefoundation.org. A lot of good stuff happening over there, too. We got one kids event left if you live in the tri-state area. I think it's third Saturday of September. So head over there and get some info. All right, enough of the talking. I want to get Justin on. And let me say this before I bring Justin on. A lot of the podcast rushed to get Justin on as soon as he won the Classic. And that makes sense. You win a big tournament like that, and you want to be the podcast with the guy on. But I sort of had a vision. I had this insight. I said, no. I'm not going to have Justin on. I'm going to wait. And I had this vision they would have a really good, successful season. And here we are, and he's winning everything. I just made that up. That's not true. But joining us now, Justin Hamner. Justin,
that was cute. I like that insight. That's a good excuse to not have me on.
I know. It's funny because, of course, it seems like after the win, I looked on your Instagram feed, and you had, 8 billion messages for people congratulating you. I was one, but I got a chance to catch up with you recently, and I was like, God, I feel bad that I haven't had Justin on since. But now I do look like a genius because you're in an even better place than you were 5 months ago. So that's kind of crazy.
What's happening?
I don't know.
What is happening?
Dude,
oh my gosh.
It's funny. Like, I've been doing this podcast a long time, and we've keep saying this over and over. I had so many cool guests on from the fishing world, from other walks of life. And it's like the way things happen in life is you can't predict it. It's like you do your best, you do your best job, but the way stuff happens, it just happens. It's like almost like an outer body experience. Is that how you're feeling right now?
I really am. I was talking to like one of my buddies the other day, and it was like, he's like, what's going on? What are you doing? I'm like, dude, honestly, at this point, I can catch a 5-pounder in my bathtub. It's the way I feel like. It's just confidence through the roof, and just, I don't know, not questioning, that gut feeling when it hits you. It's just like, but my gut feeling has been wrong a lot in the past, and this year it's just like, dude, whenever that little something goes off, go to it, and it just works.
Yeah, that is what you're talking about is the hardest thing to teach anglers, I think. It's like I'm mentoring a lot of young kids in this area that are coming up, and also my son, of course. And it's hard because you almost have to do it to learn how to do it, and it's not something you could like read in a textbook or watch a YouTube video about, right? How did you is there a certain, what did you do to allow yourself to listen to those voices? Is there something, is there a technique, or are Or are you just in this zone and it's happening all by itself?
I fully credit it to, so last May was the last day I cut grass. Like, I had my lawn care business going and everything. My first like 2 years in the leads, I was working 2 jobs, other than fishing, and then dwindled it down to one. And then last year, finally got, financially stable enough to just do away with the lawn care. And
Right.
since then, dude, it has been
Yep.
insanity. So
Yep.
whenever I'm coming home, I mean, I'm going fishing and
Right.
just being out on the water, dude. I mean, you hear it all the time, but there is not a substitute.
Right.
The more time you're on the water, like, and even like tournaments here, like our Wheeler tournament, I top 10 at. I wasn't even planning on going up to the tail race, fishing at the dam. But back home, I went fishing here, and dude, the tail race bite was just dumb. I was like, oh, maybe I can translate that.
Yeah.
So I go up there and I mean end up making the top 10. It's just being on the water. You
Yeah.
can't replace it.
Yeah, time on the water is critical for sure, and I think you left the lawn care business alone. You were more focused. I think
Yep.
that's a big important thing. You did mention something, and I do want to I want to mention this because I really appreciate this, which is you don't come from like some of the anglers that we have on tour and some of the classic champions we had come from sort of like I don't want to say silver spoon. That might be a little too harsh, but like, they come from an affluent, they had a lot of money growing up and they never had the worry of money. That was never a concern. And, they just came from a different background. I love when regular dudes, I consider you a regular dude, come up and make it. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. I mean, it's just, I think from the fan standpoint too, I think they appreciate that because, it's like you're a regular person. It's not like you weren't born with
them.
Yeah, you
like
weren't
5
born
years
with
ago, I was them, no
yeah,
doubt.
yeah. That's awesome. I did want to mention that. I want to dive in that we are 5 months removed, 5 months from the big win. Has it set in yet? Like, because I remember the only thing I can relate to is I won, and I can actually remember back to 2003. It's a long time ago. I don't have any kind of mental deficiency yet, so I can remember. And I feel like I was like floating on air for the next 12 months, like literally until I fished the next classic. I felt like I was floating just around everywhere. Like, so it took me a year to come down. So we're 5 months removed. How are you feeling? How's your state of mind?
It still don't seem real.
It
Like,
seems
it's just so weird because that's something that, I mean, yeah, since I was whatever 7 years old fishing tournaments, that was always the dream. And then it's like you actually got it. Wait, what? What? No way. It
yeah,
just seems so unattainable. And then when it happens, and then I mean, life is chaotic.
yeah,
Um, it doesn't slow down, but
yeah.
it's still just like, what is that thing? Yeah, is that really mine? Like, don't touch it. It's
Oh
mine.
man, I know. I read somewhere, I can't remember. It might have been Bassmaster.com or somewhere that as a kid, I think it was middle school or high school that you did a report on Jay Yellis and like looking at his career and seeing him win the classic. I was super inspired by his win on Lay Lake. I can remember it like it was yesterday, watching the footage and the hoist, that moment. And I remember getting chills watching that when Jay won. So like having done that report, having watched past classic champs and then experience it yourself, that's got to be surreal, because it was for me. It's got to be surreal.
The most surreal thing to me, I think, yeah, hoisting the trophy was one thing, but I've envisioned riding around that arena, before I even had wife and kid, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my parents. Um, which was awesome to have them in the boat with me too. I was like, no, y'all are coming. Like y'all are just as much a part of this.
Yeah.
But that whole iconic just riding around holding that trophy, and that's what gets me. Like
Yeah.
gosh, the feels on that one,
Yeah.
dude.
It's
And it was like that was like the outer body experience, because I had somebody the next day was like, "That was so cool, you doing snow angels in the confetti on your front deck." I was like, "Yeah, Scarlett did, my daughter." I was like, they're like, "No, no, you were." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't remember that." And he shows me a picture. I'm like, "Oh, I guess I did."
dude, adrenaline is a funny thing. Like adrenaline can make you forget, can make you do, it gives you strength, makes you do silly stuff. It's awesome, man. I love it.
Oh, it's
What a
so
rush.
good.
What a rush. Um, I've asked past classic champs this, and I really want to ask you, and we did get a chance to talk before this podcast, so I kind of have I kind of understand a little bit, but I really want our listeners to hear this. After winning the class, right? So you're a kid, you're growing up, you're dreaming about this, you're doing reports on pros, like this is a dream. After winning, is it everything you thought it would be? Is it good and bad? I'd love to hear both sides. Is it everything you thought it would be 5 months later after winning?
It's honestly more. Everybody says
More.
it's life-changing.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think people grasp how much life-changing, not just that 300,000 alone is insane, but
Yeah.
everything else that comes with it. Dude, the amount of fans that come up to me now, it is nuts. Like, I go to the gas station, I think it was, like, in the middle of Arkansas somewhere, or I don't know, it was on the way to one of our tournaments. Anyways, and just going to a gas station, I signed, like, 3 or 4 autographs, taking pictures and stuff. That to me has been the coolest thing.
Yeah.
That, like, gosh, because I was that kid, and then now for people to recognize me, that's I didn't expect to like that so much, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, it's a cool feeling. It's very flattering, especially, when you're all jerseyed out. And I call the tournament jersey the boob suit. I don't know why, but I've always referred to it as your boob suit. I don't even know where that came from, but
You had
when
different experiences
I
wearing it
guess
than I did.
I must have. I don't know. But, when you have your boob suit on, you're recognized, right? People recognize you.
Yeah.
But when you sort of know things have advanced to a different level, like you said, when you're at a gas station or a convenience store or Walmart or wherever, and you got your regular street clothes on, you're just hanging out. You're just hanging out, and people recognize you and want your autograph. Man, that's an
It was so
amazing
cool.
thing. It's so cool. It's so
It's
cool.
so awesome. Dude, and I've never got to tell you this. I tried to, like, chase you down 2 different times. Um, yeah, I know you don't remember it. So I fished the junior world champion deal, like, long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, and it was the one at the Harris chain, and you were there, obviously. I was actually fishing with, Ron Sheffield. He was, like, my pro or whatever, but,
Whoa.
yeah, he taught me how to smoke a cigarette going 70 miles an hour down the
Oh yeah,
lake.
dude, he could put some
Just
heaters away. Ron could
never
smoke 'em,
missed a
man.
beat.
He's worse than Seth Fighter. I can tell you that.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. But, yeah, it was me and my parents, and we went to, like, Outback or something, and you were there. I was like, "Oh gosh, I gotta say something, I gotta say something."
Yeah.
And you actually got out of your table as you were walking out, and you saw me, remembered me from, like, the meeting we had the night before, and came up and actually sat down at the table with us, and, like, I mean, just sat there for 10 to 15 minutes just talking, and, like,
Awesome.
you actually ended up telling me and my dad, like, "If you want, like, really good fishing, go to the Disney lake.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
it's loaded." So me and
Loaded.
my dad, like, snuck in, and we didn't even know. We just went over there like, "Ah, there's the lake." And we were fishing down the banks and stuff before they escorted us out. But I will never forget that. Like, that was one of those moments that I still remember today. Like, eh, the way
That
that you treated me and my family, like, that that should be the standard.
That's so great.
So
That's thank you for telling me that, because I love those stories. And if Disney's watching, see, you kicked out a classic champion, you dummies.
idiots.
Mickey Mouse,
Gosh.
what Disney with your head cryogenically frozen head? You kicked a classic champ out. Don't do that
Oh
again.
gosh.
That's such a great story. I
We
love
were
it.
crushing them too. They were killing us.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh
it's
yeah.
so fun.
That place is insane. Yeah, I've had a chance to fish there a few times, and obviously it was like with one the best thing, and I don't remember what story I told you, but the best experience I ever had is the Epcot lake, and I want to say it was like, gosh, I can't remember, but it was a long time ago, and I had an interview set up with the lead writer, outdoor writer for the Miami Herald. It was a big deal because a giant circulation, back then newspapers were the deal. So
Yeah.
giant circulation. And because of that, we sort of had special permission to go with a guide. And, you pay there, it's like you could pay whatever and they'll take you around the lakes, but they don't like to take you in Epcot. But when they do, you have to go in and be out of there before the park opens. And I never forget this, Justin. We went in there with the guide, and he's was talking this place up, and I'm like, it cannot be this good. He's like, what country do you want to catch an 8-pounder out of first? I'm like, what?
Jeez.
Yeah. So then I can't remember the order, but like we go to like, how Epcot's set up. It's got all the different.
Yeah.
We go to like Japan, and I catch an 8-pounder off the ferry wall. And then we go to like Germany, and I catch like an 8-pounder off a clump of hydrilla. And then I ended up catching like 4 or 5 in that 7 to 9 pound class range in the same day. And it scarred me for life. I think I've actually only ever had one other experience better than that. And that was Kenansville, Jurassic Park. So, and that's its own animal too. But that's funny because I kind of forgot about that whole story. So I'm glad you brought that up. Is there anything that you expected from winning the classic that didn't happen? Is there anything that you said, this is going to happen, and it didn't? Is there any like holes, or has it all transpired the way you thought it would?
I didn't know what to expect as far as the media side of stuff.
Right.
It never even crossed my mind. Like, that was one thing that never even crossed my mind, was like the publicity and stuff like that. So that's one thing I've kind of been told.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this probably should have happened, this and this. But I mean, to me, I was just like, didn't even know what to expect on that because I've never even thought about it. And so I think there was some missed opportunities on that part, but not something that I expected and didn't get. If that makes sense.
But by the way, you're really good in front of the camera and on camera and talking to people. Like I've watched a lot of classic champs even before I started fishing professionally. So I've like you, I've been a fan since I was a little kid. So I've been a fan since the early 80s. That's a long time. And we've had some champs that, and I won't say any names, but we've had some that aren't very personable. They're not good. You're really, really good talking to people. Have you always been good as a kid, or did you take media training, or what? How did you get?
I was terrible when I first started. Now I'm just comfortable. Now. Finally realized, like, completely be your dumb, goofy self, and people are good with it. As long as you're being yourself, it doesn't matter. You're dumb and goofy like me. I'm genuinely one of the most happiest people you'll probably ever meet. Like, just happy. Like, especially now. Everybody keeps asking me, like, are you stressed out about AOY and all this stuff? Like,
nope.
What? I've been stressed before. When you ain't got a daggone dollar to buy a cheeseburger, that whole story, like, that's stressful.
It is.
This ain't stressful. This is fun.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And it should be. It should be fun. I think when I've interviewed past classic champs, I think that I would pose that same question. I think the biggest thing that they thought would happen that didn't is I think a lot of people assume that once you win, you get the $300,000 check, of course, and that's awesome. And when I was fishing it, it was 500,000, and that was awesome. My eyes lit up like that big. But I think people assume that, you always hear the term, it's $1 million win. And I've heard a lot of past Classic champs say, man, that wasn't $1 million. And, it's funny because even me, it took time to turn that win into $1 million, right? So it's not like it happens like that. Like you don't win and then all of a sudden money starts raining down around you. You've got to work, and you've got to hustle, and you've got to really take it and convert it into the $1 million by working on the other side, which is the business side. And I know with having talked to you, and I think you're going to do that. I think you'll see that $1 million mark happen, over the next couple of years. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. And I never looked at it like that. I always looked at it like the $1 million opportunity. Dude, you just got handed, you talk about silver platter. You've got the opportunity to do what you want, but it's still going to come down to what you do with it. These people thinking they could just, you win a tournament and just hand me money.
Right.
Dude, that's dumb. That's dumb thinking.
Yeah.
If you're not going to put in the work, I mean, that ain't gonna do it.
Yeah. And it's funny because as I'm talking to you, I'm looking back at that trophy and I'm like, even all like the money's great and the money is amazing because it allows you to do other things and it provides, a support pillar for your family and all that's great. So I'm not downplaying that side of it, but dude, looking at that trophy, and I look at mine all the time because mine's in my office. So I'll go in my home office and I'll walk past it even all these years later. And I like look at it and I'm like, damn, and it's unbelievable because there's not that many people that have them, and Justin, no one can ever take that away from you. Like I'm looking, I mean, unless somebody breaks in your house and have a home invasion and then you'll get another one made anyway. But dude, that's has that set in? Like, look back at that thing one real quick for me.
I mean,
it's incredible.
Gosh, I know. And dude, and I think the trophy is for me. If you know what I mean. All this other stuff going on is me supporting my family, and like that's obviously what I care about the most.
Yeah.
But that trophy, gosh, that's deep down. That's me.
Yeah. And it'll always be yours. It'll always be yours. And that's a pretty special thing.
It is. I remember the night I won, I remember going back up to the hotel room and, me and my wife and my little girl and everything, she's jumping around, but I'm just sitting there holding it, laying it on the bed and just reading the names on it. Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
You talk about give you chills.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then, when you come into the arena next year at Fort Worth, you'll have that flag up there and, you'll be part of that iconic list of names. That's a special thing too. That never gets old for me. Even as a spectator of the classics I've been to, walking in the arena and seeing that flag up there, it's really, really, really special. And then of course, Hall of Fame, you'll also be, now you're in the Hall of Fame because every classic champion is in the Hall of Fame as well. So that's pretty cool.
Know that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
You'll instantly be in the Hall of Fame on the classic champion wall, which is so cool. I've been to the Hall of Fame probably about a dozen times, even before I was inducted. And I would just sit there and look at that thing, but just like almost in awe, just of all the names. And you see, the Cluns and Bobby Murray and,
and
just
Clun,
all the
and Clun
and Brower and Van Dam.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
So cool.
Such a good feeling. Good conversion point here. We're talking about trophies, talking about big win. And you mentioned it. I do want to switch gears here. And we are 2 left. We're officially 2 events left. It's been a long season. And you find yourself at the top of the AOY leaderboard. That's pretty freaking incredible. That's pretty freaking incredible. What's the feeling right now? How if I can get this phone to stop beeping, what's the feeling right now? How are you? What's your mindset? Like this, it's just got to be incredible.
Confidence.
Confidence.
Like, dude, there's no two other bodies of water going into it that I would rather it be than these two.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and like I want to punch something. I'm just ready to go. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like,
Oh yeah.
I hate this long break. I've had all the eye casts and all this stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
please just let me at it. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, and you could tell
ready.
too. You can tell the confidence part. You could tell because again, I'm a fan of the sport, so I'm not having a great year, but I'm able to watch a lot of the events, which is cool because I'm a fan, and dude, you can see it. Like I can see it in your fishing. I can see it in even in your body language. It's hard to describe, and I don't say that in a weird way. That I'm not. It's not like I'm watching your body, but you know what I mean.
Yes,
Like
you are. Am I glowing?
Yeah, you got this just confidence about you, and honestly, I've watched it in other fishermen. Like it's like you're not tense, and you're not like it doesn't look like a struggle. It just looks very fluid. Everything fluid, casting, motion, movements, fluid, and that's confidence, and that is the single most important thing of all fishing is having the confidence, and so. You got to be even more. You mentioned it, but got to be more pumped up that we're going to Champlain. I know that I've seen it listed on your list of favorite lakes. You've had top tens there in the past. Thousand Islands, another amazing smallmouth fishery, and it really does sort of fit your strengths. Which tend to be a little bit more of that offshore game, a little bit more looking around for them kind of thing. Have you thought at all about the other side? Like, they're all the positives. What about like when you look at that list? And I breezed through it this morning, and I'm like, yeah, he's got a nice lead. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be good. And then I look at second place name. I'm like, ooh. Then the third place name. Ooh. Fourth place. Then one of the Johnson brothers is up there. I'm like, ooh. And Are you like just because there's different strategies? Are you ignoring that, or are you just taking it all in and just continuing the ride, or how are you handling some of that?
I don't want to say ignoring it. I mean, I know who's behind me.
Yeah.
I've looked at it, but it's never been to me like it's always been me and the fish. So it's like as long as I handle my stuff, I don't care who's behind me. If I go out there in
Right.
2 top 10s, it's impossible for anybody to,
Right.
and that's my mindset right now is just go top 10s and I ain't got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not a big like trying to tally up the points and figure out
Right.
this and that. It's like,
Right.
I'm from Alabama. We're not smart. We don't count a lot. I
Get
do
out
know
of
10
here.
plus 10 is 20, and I got 24. So if I 2 top 10, we're good.
Well, that is math. That is correct. That math is correct. But strategically, have you thought about it? Because like I think last year's AOY was a great example, right? Maybe a great test study for you in the different strategies. Same 2 tournaments, right? And you had a guy that was pretty similar lead to what you have, and it seemed like he had it. It seemed like there was no doubt that it was his. And I think he took a conservative approach to the last 2 events. Where Kyle Welcher was toward it wasn't in the back, but he was sniffing around. He had a lot of points to make up. And he really took the gambling approach in the last 2, and especially in that last one, doing some things that were very, very risky. Scary and risky. And Champlain's the same way, honestly, right?
Yeah,
a lot of things there that can be scary and risky. Have you thought about an approach? Are you going to stick to the conservative side? Are you going to take some risk? Or are you going to meet in the middle and just let the fish tell you what to do?
Between the middle to risky, because the only reason I'm sitting right here right now, I contributed not only the classic win, but like just going into the season, every tournament, I was like, I want to win this year. Like that is
Right.
my goal. I'm going to win a tournament this year, and then especially after the classic, it's like, okay, I got nothing to lose now, so
You're
I'm
already,
really going for the
yeah,
win.
you're already in the
So
classic. So
yeah,
yeah,
if I find them in tie, I'll go to tie. Like yeah, no, I'm
that's
putting it
awesome.
out there because that's what got me here. So
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, it's a great strategy. And I think to really win and win hands down, not to win by a
yeah,
point. I think that's the correct strategy. And you've been utilizing it all year really well. So why change? You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Don't change with 2 events left, So I I
No,
like
I want
that
to win.
strategy.
I
I
still want a blue trophy too. Like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
that
Well,
still get me.
that's a goal of mine. I've had a couple seasons that haven't been great, but I still think about the opportunity to win another one. I think
Mhm.
it's an amazing accomplishment. So that's something I think about all the time, man. How awesome would it be in the perfect world if you win one of these last 2, you do the triple threat, right? Classic AOY
So cool.
and then a win in the same year. You know what? I need to send Ken Duke a text and see how many people have accomplished that in their career. Ken Duke is like the brainiac of Bassmaster
Oh yeah,
history. He's
yeah.
amazing, but I know I'm almost positive there's been a few that have won the classic and then won AOY. I think Mark Davis has won. I
Yeah,
think there's
Mark
been a
Davis
few,
and Kevin
and
are the only
Kevin.
two.
Oh, the
Yeah,
only 2. So you have an opportunity to do that, but a classic win, an AOY win with a win sprinkled in there, dude,
might as
dude,
well be the last one, right?
might as well, might as well.
Jeez.
I mean, talk about a Cinderella story. That would be
Ah,
that would just be incredible.
that would be cool, dude. I
Uh,
mean, but anything that I don't, if I bomb these next 2, it's already been a Cinderella story.
oh yeah, oh
It's
yeah,
unreal.
yeah.
So either
That's
way
the
it turns out, but
that's the good
I
news.
want to
That's
win.
yeah. Well, I can tell you this, and I don't want to add any pressure to you, but the AOY opportunities, and I honestly don't care if you're Van Dam or Clun or the late Aaron Martins, whatever. They don't come by a lot. You're going to get into a couple good years where you're going to have some opportunities, but like I remember the year that I won, which was 2006. There were like 5 of us with a 10 to 12 point separation. Dude, it was Justin, it was so tight. And it came down. This is back when there was 11 regular season events. So it was the 11th event in October on Table Rock. Dude, it was the roughest
Jeez.
tournament. Like a 15-inch spot was like a bar of gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how important it was. And
Did you
uh,
scream when you caught one?
dude, I some strange weird things happen in that tournament. Like and again at the beginning of this interview, like almost like outer body stuff just happening on
Mhm.
its own. But Van Dam struggled on the last day. Steve Kennedy lost some big fish on the like things had to happen a certain way for it to transpire that way, But it was I remember the feeling of it felt like I had a Toyota Tundra on my back the entire time. And then at the moment where I realized, and again, it was close. We didn't know until everyone had weighed on that third day. And the minute I found out, dude, it was like that truck was gone and I had wings.
You were holding that truck up.
On the truck. I was Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk, and I was pumping it up, So
That's awesome.
but I do honestly, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for a lot of the guys, but I'm really, really rooting for you. I hope you get to win both of those titles in the same year. It would be so cool.
That's awesome.
It's definitely going to be cool. I did want to ask you though. I did want to back up, and this is probably more for me personally, but I know a lot of our viewers probably want to know. You've had an amazing classic and an amazing season. Confidence, decision making has a lot to do with it, but have you practiced these events, like including the classic? What's your strategy, or are you one of the guys that say, I'm showing up, I'm fishing the moment, I'm not researching, I'm not what's your
Oh,
mindset?
I definitely research. I'm
You do.
big into research. Like I
Yep.
put a ton of time into research.
Yep.
Um, I'm not a big pre-practice guy. I
Gotcha.
don't like it just for I feel like there's some lakes that it'll help just for like if we know it's gonna be like a brush pile deal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to go have as many brush piles marked. But as far as like I'm so bad about I'm the worst pre-practicer in the history because if I go out there, I want to catch them. So like, and it just takes you to a different, you start checking stuff that was good a month ago, and that doesn't. So yeah, I haven't. I mean, pre-practice, I guess Smith Lake,
Yep.
just because it's an hour away from here. Um, I think I did spend one day on Wheeler before it went off limits.
Yep.
And yeah, that was the only pre-practicing I've done. I'd
Yeah.
never even seen Grand Lake before we got there.
Yeah. I think it's a good strategy. I've done both, and I've had success and failure doing both. So
Yeah,
but I like the fact that you get there and you do have, your research and you have an idea of what you want to do, but you're more of an open book. I think sometimes,
100%.
I think sometimes when you pre-practice, you can get caught running waypoints or preconceived notions, and it takes your mind in a different direction. So I like your strategy. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate having that you think they're gonna I mean, me personally, I've never come into a tournament like, all right, this should be the deal, and ended up being the deal. It
Right.
never works out. I mean, it's always it might be close to the deal, but it's just yeah, you've got to be open to everything. And
Yeah.
I'm one of them guys. I hate fishing a crowd with a passion.
Me
Like
too.
you'll see me every time. It's so funny every time they do like the zoomed out version, where it has like all the anglers. It's like everybody's in a group, and then I'm like off the screen almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
You're
what is he
you're about
doing?
30 miles that way in the back of a pocket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just can't stand a crowd. I don't know. I don't like that. I like dumb fish. Dumb fish is my MO. The
Oh yeah.
dumber I can find, the better I am.
There's not many of them left with forward facing sonar. There's not
I
many dumb
know.
fish left.
You gotta keep driving further.
That's awesome.
I'm too impatient to sit there and try to work on. I gotta go.
It's crazy. I'm the same.
You're nothing like that.
Well, I'm the same way. Mine is chemically imbalanced creation. Like I'm born in the 70s, so they didn't even have terms yet when I was in the 70s. But I have chemical imbalance. I just can't sit still. You know what I mean? I just can't. I can't calm down. That's just the nature of who I am. But I did want to mention. Go ahead.
I have to ask just one thing. Does your like foot throttle, does it have an in between? Or is it just like hammer?
Well, here you're going to laugh at this, and most people under the age of 40 laugh at this. So my foot throttle has no in between because I have no foot throttle.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I've never used the hot foot. I've always my first bass boat that I ever was in, Justin, this is dating me, but I won a Bassmaster top 150 as an amateur in 94. And that
at Champlain?
Yeah, at Lake Norman of all places.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a sophomore in college. So I was a kid, but I had been in John boats before that. So I'd never even been in a bass boat up until that point. And when I got that first boat, it was a Ranger 374V with a 150 Johnson Fast Strike on it. Back then, that was top of the line, bro. I mean,
that Fast Strike. That's where it was at.
Bulletproof. But anyway, so that boat never had a hot foot on it. And I literally drove that boat all the way till I won the Federation National Championship in 99. So I was in that boat for, 6 years, and I just developed everything, my whole style, the way I practiced, everything was based off of throttle. So I just never switched.
I mean, if it ain't broke.
Right. But to answer your question, there is no in between in my hand throttle. It's idle or full throttle.
I
Absolutely.
love it.
Absolutely.
It's so
Yeah.
awesome. Even in
The
practice, like,
Oh,
dude, you
yeah.
go hard.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I
I go hard.
respect that.
Oh, yeah. And the service crew guys don't like it, but everybody else thinks it's
I
great.
mean,
Uh,
yeah.
I'm making them earn their money over there at Yamaha.
Yeah, you are.
Poor guys.
Oh,
I did want to mention real quick for our fans and viewers, and we got to talk about it yesterday. I wanted you to pimp this a little bit. I think it's super cool that you've got a rod series that you're doing.
yeah.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that and how that come about and what, talk a little bit about the rod and then, where guys can get it.
Yeah, so obviously it's with Halo rods, and what's cool is we were actually started working on this like even before the classic.
Mm,
So like I was already on like the second prototype at the classic, and then I win the classic, and he's like, "All right, we gotta speed this up," kind of
yeah.
deal. And originally it was just gonna be like my jerkbait rod, and now we're actually gonna have three of them. So I'll have a jerkbait rod, um, a jig rod that's gonna be that's just a little bit of everything. It's like an
First,
extra medium heavy,
versatile
so it
rod.
still has that little tip,
Yeah.
and it's like a 7-1, perfect for skipping. But that one's gonna be like meat potatoes.
Yeah.
And then working on a minnow rod because that's the one thing that Halo hasn't got like dialed in on that minnow rod. Just
Right.
because you got to have that right little tip, to be able to
Yeah.
whatever, shake. And so, I'm excited about that one. But yeah, so 3 rods and then the jerkbait, dude. I think I've drove them crazy because I am picky about all that.
Picky.
I'm like, yeah, this is gonna if it's gonna be my name on it, we're gonna have it right. But
Yeah. There's
just
there's a
getting
lot
that, mm,
there's a lot that goes into it. I think the average
yeah,
consumer, the average listener of this podcast probably doesn't realize the amount of time and, because listen, I've done it with Abu. And if you have your name on it, you want it to be right and you want it to feel right to your specs. Right. And
yep,
you've been fishing your whole life, what you want. And that doesn't happen with the first rod sample, and there's materials of graphite, there's, guides, there's grips, there's cutouts, EVA, this and that, and there's all these different little things that change it. So, what was it a fun process gone through and
yeah.
gone back and
I'm
forth?
having a ball because I've always been such a tinkerer. I
Yeah,
love I love tinkering. I've cut the handles off of so many rods, like, it's like, this thing's too, long because it's hitting
yeah,
me and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, and then taking we had the most arguments out of where to put the daggum little hook holder.
Bookkeeper, yeah.
You got a special spot for that?
So I do
It's like,
mine. I know. It's funny you said that because I fought with them. My series now is 3.0. So we started this about 15 years ago. But in the very beginning, I fought with them about the placement and also the kind of hook holder. So I can
yep,
understand what you're talking about because for me, and again, the nice thing about doing your own rods is you can most of the time you get to create exactly what you want. And I always had a problem with the open hook holders because I get snagged a lot because I suck. But when I'm flicking your rod, when you do the line
yes,
flick,
and it
it
catches every
always gets
time.
caught under that open line holder. So I wanted them to do a closed hook holder. And they fought with me tooth and nail. Nobody uses this anymore. No, this is outdated. And finally, I convinced them to do the closed hook holders.
Yes, please, yes. Mine will have a closed hook holder,
Yeah. Oh, that's so
no
great.
doubt.
Uh,
Gosh, whenever you're sitting there picking out that stupid backlash,
yeah,
yeah, it gets in it every time.
every time.
That's a
So
pet peeve.
this one is for me personally, but talk a little bit about, you mentioned you're doing a minnow rod and it's a technique right now that, unless you're hiding under a rock somewhere in central Australia,
So,
uh,
so if you
unless,
haven't heard of it, forward
yeah,
facing sonar. Have you heard of
yeah.
it?
I mean, maybe you haven't, but for most people, they know this minnow, jig head minnow is dominating. It's a great technique to catch fish off the bank, but I'm not even sure what the right rod is for that technique. Can you walk through your rod or what you look for in one? Because honestly, I'd like to know. I don't think I exactly know what the right rod is.
Yeah. So, and I mean, rods are going to be different for everybody, but
Yeah.
I know what I want out of it and what I think is so overlooked to me is I like the bend in that. If in a spinning rod, I
Yeah.
want that thing to be so parabolic
Right.
because
You
when
you
I
want that.
load up on, yes,
Yeah.
it's hitting one of them deals where I'm sitting there jacking, setting the hook. You're sitting there shaking that thing.
Right.
He eats it, you reel into it, and it loads up, and I'm not losing it ever.
Right.
But
Right.
the hardest part is you have to have a little bit, like, stiffer tip, because
Right.
if the whole rod is jelly and you're sitting there trying to work on it, I
Right.
mean, you can't get it so the tip has to be just a little bit stiffer
Yeah.
just so you can give it the action you need. So
Gotcha.
that's, like, our hardest part, but then once I load up, I want the whole rod to load up.
Right.
So
What would you spec it as? Would you spec it as like a medium light? Would it be a medium? Would it
it's
be
like a extra medium light is I think
okay?
what they technically ended up being because the medium lights would just be there wasn't enough in there, and plus too, some of these bigger hook like 3/0 hooks, you need a
Right.
little bit more to drive on.
Right. Yep.
So, it's like right in between medium light.
Gotcha. What
But
about length? I see a lot of guys using longer rods. What's the right length for
7-1.
you? 7-1. Yeah.
That one was the hardest because
Right.
at times I want a 7.6 just to bomb out there. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Other times, the shorter the rod, the easier it is to work it just because it's a smaller, lighter rod, you're having to but yeah, so I settled with 7.1, just
It's
met
a
in the
good.
middle.
That's a good length. I use a 7.2 a lot, so it's a good length. And
Yeah.
real quick too for guys listening, they're like, oh my gosh, I got to get that jerkbait rod. Where can
Mm,
they go to Halo? Can they where can they
yeah,
find it?
it's not even we still November, so we're still like yeah, we debuted them at ICAST,
Yeah.
and that still wasn't even the final one because I'm picky. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want it to be right. It's
Okay.
for
So
sure they're
this
gonna be
fall.
here,
Yep.
yep, in November.
Yep.
So,
That's
we
awesome.
got the actions dialed in, we're just getting the cosmetics and stuff, you know, get
That's
that
awesome.
right.
That's awesome.
So, yep,
Um,
November. I do wanna promote, I have my next YouTube video coming out, um, Thursday,
Heck
so
yeah.
that'll be cool. I'm
What's
excited
is
about
it
that.
from one of the Elite series or what's the
Yep,
content from it?
St. John's River, I
Heck
believe.
yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is gonna be my next one after the classic, was St. John, so,
Yeah.
yep, got
That's
that one
awesome.
coming.
Can't wait to watch it. I did want to switch gears just a little and talk about, and this is interesting because literally I'm bringing this up for a lot of people that watch this podcast. They're going to be watching it probably a week from now, so it's kind of confusing because this is a pre-recorded deal. But we had a email sent by Bass, I guess about maybe a week ago, maybe a little less than a week ago, from our tournament director, Lisa, who's great person. I think she does a great job. Uh, you know, reminding us of a meeting, a mandatory meeting that we have the Wednesday. Is that right? I think it's the
Yep,
Wednesday
Wednesday
of
before the tournament.
before the tournament at
Yep,
Champlain, right? Yeah, at Champlain.
Champlain.
Yeah. And during the meeting, they're going to be discussing a lot of things. And I first of all, I tend to bash Bass more than I praise them, but I want to give them a little praise for having a meeting like this. I think it's great, that they're entertaining thoughts and comments and ideas from anglers. So shout out to Bass for doing that. I wish the anglers themselves had a better system to get our points across on a real life basis. Like they're going to listen to us, but we still don't really have any power to get anything done. But anyway, that's besides the point. Shout out to Bass for having this meeting. But basically, there was an email sent around saying, man, listen, if you've got questions, comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts, bring them to the meeting, email me. Right. And I was like, man, that's awesome. do you have any? Are you going to be bringing any thoughts or suggestions or comments to the meeting of things you would like to see changed or improved? Or are you just going to kind of soak it all in? Or what's your thoughts on the meeting?
I've got one for sure, and we've got to get that day off back. I
Right.
hate not having that day off.
Hey,
Gosh.
hold on. Let me pause that one more time. Hold on.
Yeah, there you go.
Justin, at 52, I would love. Listen. I remember. How old are you, by the way? I didn't ask you this.
33.
All right. I remember when I was 25, 30, 33. Bro, I had a lot more energy. I promise you. When you hit that 50 mark, something happens. I'm not, whatever. I'm not a scientist.
Is it low T?
Maybe it's low T. I don't know. We'll have to ask Becky about that. But I do not have the energy, and mentally I want to push, and I put in hard days, and sometimes I get to the tournament. I think I hurt myself in practice. I'm so exhausted. So one more time, third time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I agree with that one. I think that's a good one.
Yeah. Dude, I can't stand the fact knowing when I get off the water on that Wednesday, at whatever time it may be, and somebody else is still out there, it just it just bugs me to no end. But I got to rig. I mean, I got to, it just, because I rig way too many rods. It takes me a while. I'm OCD about having all that right. So
yeah, I've got a bunch, and I sent a few via email, so that they would have them ahead of time, and hopefully they'll be brought up, and I can expand on them, or the other guys will too. And I'll throw a couple of mine out here, and then
what are they?
I want to throw a couple mine out there, and then I want to talk to you about two other ones real quick. So one is that camera. So if you're watching or listening right now, bass fishing in general, and not just Bassmaster. I don't want to put all the blame on Bassmaster, because you're seeing it in other leagues like the Toyota series or whatnot. But a lot of lack of participation from the marshals these days. Co-anglers are marshals, and it always worries me to have a guy, and I'm not saying, listen, we got 100 amazing anglers out there that I think are good dudes, but put $100,000 on the line and you're in a boat by yourself, weird stuff can happen. So I'm always paranoid when there's not a marshal in a boat. And right now, we're responsible for that camera that's in the boat. I honestly think the responsibility should be on Bass, right? It should be their responsibility, because, that content that's created, it is the determiner of what happened during the day, and whether a rule was broken or not, whatever, off limits, whatever. And I just think, and this is personally speaking, I'm not great with technology. So I've had events this year where my camera stopped working. I don't know what the heck's going on. Should I have to be responsible for fixing that? I got to worry about these fish. So that's one of my pet peeves. Another one I want to say is a better system for cancellation days and how we make those up. I think looking at Champlain last year, we had a canceled day. We lost the practice day at Thousand Islands. We did that again this year at Harris Chain. We had a cancellation day that cost us a practice day at St. John's. I think there has to be a better system put in place for cancellations and how to make them up. This year, I don't know if you remember, but this year at was it Murray, or was it? I thought it was Harris Chain where the day was
Harris
canceled.
Was another one. Yeah.
Harris Chain, the day was canceled, and then it took one of our days at St. John's.
Yeah.
So it's like if you made the top 10, you were okay. But if you didn't, you were punishing 90 to help 10. And I don't think you should ever hurt the majority to help the minority. That's just my opinion. So that's another one of
it
mine.
Drives me crazy. So why do we have the off day on the first tournament?
There you have it. Good.
It's like,
good opinion.
You got an off day opportunity. If we're only going to have one off day for these, back-to-backers, why is it not on the Wednesday of the second one in case something were to happen?
Agreed. 100% agreed. 100% agree.
But if we just had off days, period, before every tournament, it would fix it all. But
yes. And then here are two of the other ones that I've heard from. And again, I won't name any names because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but two that I wanted your opinion on for sure. One you probably know already. I'll leave that for last because it's like a broken freaking record. I'm so sick of talking about it. But the one that I heard from a lot of guys is sharing of information. And basically, I'm trying to think of a good way to put this so everybody understands it. There are a lot of groups of anglers in our league right now, in the Bassmaster Elites, that share information. And Justin, you know this as well as I do. I'm not talking about getting back to the house and saying, hey, man, that spinnerbait bite was good today. That's one thing, right? If you're all sitting around eating dinner talking about, hey, that spinnerbait bite's working, right? But I'm talking about groups of anglers, and, it's obvious who they are. I don't even have to say names here, that are literally sharing waypoints, sharing winnings in some case, working as a team. The way that I've heard it put, and I think it's a really good way to state it, is that this is an individual sport, right? It's not a team competition. I'd love to see a team event one year through Bassmasters or one of the circuits. I think that'd be fun as hell. But right now, it's an individual sport. How do you feel about that one, Justin? Should that be corrected, or is it okay the way it is?
I don't know. I haven't thought about. So my question is, how would it be corrected, I guess, is what I'm wondering, because I don't want to get to the point like whenever MLF did that deal of, it was so strict, and that, like, when you get back to the house, our room with Patrick, and if we couldn't talk about fishing, it's like,
right.
I don't want to go that route for sure.
Do you think it's okay to share waypoints and winnings?
I don't know about the winnings. I don't know. I mean, that one's tough because I love talking with Patrick about breaking down lakes,
Right.
like, and it's helped me a ton.
Of course. Yeah. When I used to travel with John Cruz and Ish, we would talk shop all the time, about that event, about other events, but we never shared waypoints. We never shared winning. Like, I would never want to. I would never
do the sharing the winnings.
Right. I would never want to take. I would never want to take a waypoint from someone and hurt them, and vice versa. I would never want to have my tournament hurt by giving someone a waypoint. But I don't know. I see both sides of it, and I like the general information, the ability to talk. But I do think there's something theoretically wrong with a team that's sharing waypoints and doubling up and covering twice as much water. And I think there's something theoretically wrong about that in an individual competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to think on that one. So, like, the way me and Patrick, we obviously talk about what we found and what we did. And then as far as areas, I'll tell him, like, hey, I'm over here, so we don't get on top of each other and start screwing each other up. Does that make sense?
You guys aren't sharing numbers though, right?
No,
no.
I'm like,
not like you're not putting a chip in your unit.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
It's basically like, hey, don't screw me over here. And he's like, okay, this is where I'm going to be. So we don't get on top of each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I enjoy working with him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The other one, and I wanted to save this for last because this is like a broken record, but the other big one, and it's going to be the focus of conversation on Wednesday, is forward-facing sonar. And we had a conversation off camera about it, and where I stand on it. But, it seems like in today's world, people are very much polar opposite. It's very polarizing. So they're extreme right or extreme left. You got a lot of the younger guys saying, this is the future of the sport. Don't get rid of it. This is the way it's going. And you got the other side saying it's the worst thing since, it's like snagging fish. I mean, I don't know. Like, extremists, they're saying some stuff like that, So
Yeah.
where do you lie on it? Where do you lie on the forward facing Sona?
I mean, I love using it. You'll never hear me say I don't love using it.
Yeah.
As far as whether to ban it or not, I honestly could not care less. Dude,
Right.
I fished for 30 years without it, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll be fine without it.
Right.
But as long as everybody's on the same level playing field, I don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But if I have it, I think it's gonna be I mean, I enjoy fishing with it. I love catching more fish.
Right.
I can catch a lot more.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm not gonna fight either way on that. Y'all just
Yeah.
tell me what we can do and I'm gonna do it. Like, dude, I don't care.
Yeah.
My passion is fishing. Whatever
Yeah.
way that I have to do it, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as we're all on the same playing field, I don't care.
Well,
So
it'll be interesting to see how the meeting goes and to see the results. I don't think if you're watching and listening to this right now, I don't think you're going to see any changes, any big changes until at least the end of the official 2024 season. And that includes the EQs. I don't think they're going to make any big decision until the seasons are over. So
what do you think they're going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to come in at the middle somewhere, Justin. If I was to guess, I would say they're not going to eliminate the technology because they shouldn't be anti-technology. I think they'll come in somewhere in the middle and have some limitations maybe on the technology. Or I've even heard talk of meeting in the middle by allowing it in some events and not in others.
I'm against that, by the way.
You're against that. Okay.
I'm 100% against that. If we're going to have it, we're going to,
right.
Whatever limitations, that's fine. But I hate the mixing of tournaments and
right.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're going to do away with it, do away with it.
Yeah. I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff. The other one I heard, I think I mentioned this on another Ike Live, is I've even heard having like time limits on it per day, where, you can use it for, 2-3 hours. I've heard trust me, I've heard it, and we're probably going to hear everything on Wednesday. So plan for a long meeting. Justin, listen, if you want to bring your sleeping bag, bring dinner, bring a 6-pack. I don't know what kind of beer you drink. Bring beer, bring everything with you because it's going to be a long meeting.
Yeah. We're going way past 12. There ain't no doubt.
Oh, we're going past 12. Oh, absolutely. It's going way
Just
past
Matt Herron alone is going to go until 12.
It might be the Matt Herron meeting all together. He might just totally dominate the meeting.
Yeah.
But if you're watching or listening, I'll probably have my next podcast after I return. So I'll give you all the updates and all that stuff. So, Justin, I appreciate you coming on, dude. It was so fun talking to you. I told you 30 to 40 minutes end up being an hour. I apologize. I kept you longer than I should have, but the conversation got good and I was having fun. So sorry about that, but I loved having you on.
Talking fishing.
Yeah, I loved having you on. It was great insight on a lot of stuff. And I said it before, but good luck. Honestly, dude, from the bottom of my heart, good luck. I'm cheering you on. I hope you do it. I hope you keep that confidence and momentum going. And I hope you do the double whammy. I hope you win Angler of the Year and one of the tournaments. And that would be an amazing
triple crown.
Triple crown. Would be, how much better can you get than that?
Go for it. Dude, thank you for having me on. You've been, such a hero of mine growing up, and just to sit here talking to you, it's awesome. And I really respect the way that you handle yourself off the water. That's what, dude, you're a psycho on the water.
I am.
Great. And then when I start telling people like Ike was probably one of the nicest guys, you ever meet, they're like, what? Dude. But yeah. Thanks for all you do for the sport.
Clark Kent Superman syndrome. I have Clark Kent Superman. But, Justin, awesome. Thank you, and we'll literally I will see you in less than a week.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be so good. Thanks for having me, Ike.
Travels, Justin. We'll see you soon.
You too. See ya.
Okay. There you have it, guys. That was awesome. And again, man, that hour went really quick for me because I was having a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed that. Catching up with Justin Hamner, amazing classic champ, gonna do a lot with the win. I've seen classic champs in the past just sit back and not do too much. you're going to see a lot from Justin. And that makes me happy because we have to grow the sport. We have to get new people fishing. We have to make it fun. And he does that. So very, very thankful for having him on the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me remind you, this is Ike Live 2.0. Comment right down there. Look down at the bottom there. Leave us a comment. Who do you want to see? What do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about? Leave us a message. I really look at that stuff. Also, shout out to Abu Garcia for sponsoring this podcast. Head over to abugarcia.com. Check out the Revo Rocket spinning reel. Also, check out the brand new Ike Series 3.0 rods and reels available this September. You can order them right now, pre-order on Tackle Warehouse. Also, head on over to the IkeFoundation.org to get more information on how to get kids fishing. What do we got? We got a kids event coming up in September. We have a Hook 'em Early tournament, I think, in the next few weeks. Oh, man, this was a big one. We also have a kayak event happening in September on the Upper Susquehanna River. So all you yak heads out there, go to IkeFoundation.org and check that out. Thanks to Justin. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and we will see you at the next show. Bye.
Do you fish for excitement? Do you fish for passion? Do you fish to get outside? Or do you fish to win? Abu Garcia for life. You know, right now where we're standing, we're in Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is right there. This is the concrete jungle. And, you know, a lot of those kids, as they grow up, they don't fish. It's interesting because they're surrounded by water. You know, the Delaware River, the Schuylkill, ponds, city park lakes. But they don't have the influence to cast, to fish, to have a rod and reel. And that became our focus, you know, is to target kids in what we call non-traditional areas, you know, urban areas, city centers, where the population's high, and let these kids have an experience. You know, it's amazing. I mean, some of the experiences we've had, whether it's Central Park in New York City, here in Camden, other parts of the country, even just casting.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to see it, isn't it?
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
And you know, you see these kids have this experience they've never had, and they light up, you know? The big thing, I think, for the Ike Foundation is we're not saying we want all these kids to become professional anglers.
No.
It'd be great if some of them did, but we want them to have that fishing experience because it ties them to so many other positive things. The outdoors, nature, conservation. Ecology, you know, all these amazing things in life that maybe they wouldn't have been exposed to any other way. We're trying to help with that. So it's important. It's important for us.
Yeah.
We're proud of it.
I subscribe to Bass U TV, and so should you.
Great place to learn about anything you want to know about bass fishing.
You get it at Bass U. We got the best of the best.
I'm not just an instructor, I'm a subscriber.
I'm John Cruz, and I am a subscriber.
You can always learn, and watching Bass U definitely helps with that. It's something that I like to do, and it's definitely something that you need to do.
If I'm still learning, you should be too.
Subscribe to Bass U because you'll learn how to catch a lot more fish.
Ike Live, brought to you exclusively by Abu Garcia.